Dear viewers, this is a 2006 Suzuki SV650S V-twin 650cc, around 70 horsepower, liquid cooled engine. It's one of the most popular learner bike in Australia, America, and probably UK as well. UK has different licensing systems, so I'm not 100% sure, but it is very popular in Australia and US. And I would just like to share my opinion on this bike. Firstly, in my personal opinion, I think it's a bit overpowered to be a learner bike. It does have decent amount of torque as well, so if you don't know what you're doing, the torque can sort of catch you off guard. The horsepower is fine. 70 horsepower is not massive, obviously, but it does have very good low and mid-range torque, which makes the bike a lot of fun to ride as well. Now, is it a good bike to ride? The short answer is yes, obviously. Very reliable, very good. Many of them were made, hence parts are quite easy to come by. Decent suspension, not very good, but it's alright. Sounds good as well because it's V-twin. Good seating position. Now, what would be a good alternative? A Honda CB500, a new one, like post 2013 Honda CB500 would be a good alternative. Personally, in my opinion, the CB500 is an easier bike to use and learn on. But that's again just my opinion. I've owned many motorcycles, and in my opinion the CB500 is easier to ride, easier to handle and manage, because with this one, if you mess it up, you lift the front wheel quite easily, and this being a 2006 model doesn't have ABS or anything, so you don't have that electronic rider aid to support you. Now, because this is V-twin, it has a very distinct sound. Now, this is fuel injected, hence when I turned the ignition on, you heard the fuel injector coming alive. So that's the neutral light, fuel injection check light, low fuel gauge, high beam, low beam, low oil indicator. Now, once the bike starts up, they should all go away. Time, 2 trip meters, 1 and 2, and obviously, and that's the coolant temperature, which is 40 degrees Celsius right now. Now, that's where you can change the trip meter. Now, if you look at the bike, it's got over 100,000 kilometers on odo. That's over 60,000 miles, and that's a lot for a motorcycle. It'll probably do another 100,000 if you take care of it, and I think it just shows that the quality of these motorcycles the engine is still beautiful, doesn't leak oil or anything. I'll start it up in a sec. Obviously, that's the V-twin configuration. I'm not sure exactly about the angle, but it looks like an L-twin, like a 90-degree V-twin, like a Ducati. I know Ducati makes a big deal about L-twins, but there are a lot of motorcycles with 90-degree V-twins. Now, this has a radiator and the oil cooler down at the bottom as well. Again, over 100,000 kilometers, no oil leaks at all. These are for the paddock stand. I'll start the bike up now. Oops, sorry, you have to press the clutch. So I've started the bike up. It's hovering at just over 1,000 RPM. I hope you can hear the engine. That's just an aftermarket bag that I've got. As I said, it sounds nice. It's a V-twin. I'll rev it up a little bit. The new SV650 has ABS, which is great for learner riders. The new one also has a first gear selection help thing where the engine revs up automatically a little bit to help you, which helps you to make sure that you don't stall the bike. I think that's an anti-stall feature. This one doesn't have that, obviously. That's the engine kill switch, starter button. That's the hazard light. Doesn't have a headlight switch. The headlight stays on whenever you turn the bike on. Pass switch, high beam, low beam, indicator and horn. You can adjust the front suspension, which is good as well for a bike at this price point. It's not very common. Now, do I like the bike? The short answer is yes. Do I think it's a good learner bike? Not really. I think it's a bit too powerful for someone who hasn't ridden motorbikes before. After riding something smaller for a few months, this is fine to get onto. But if you don't have any experience, I personally don't recommend this, but that's just my opinion. Do I enjoy this bike a lot? No, I'm a big fan of inline force because I like the wider torque curve and the power delivery of inline force. V-twins have a higher peak torque at lower RPM, and it sort of comes in suddenly and then goes away, where inline force have a much smoother and broader torque curve, which I personally enjoy. But having said that, that's just me. A lot of people ride and love this bike a lot. They use it for racing as well. I think lower level racing or cheaper end racing teams often use SV650. Rear disc brake, front has dual brake. Now a Korean copy of this bike is the Hyosung GT650, which is very similar to this bike, which I have, and I'll do a review of that as well. But the quality of SV650 is miles ahead of the Hyosung, and when I do a review of the Hyosung, I'll show you why. To start with, the electronics in the Hyosung are not as good, not even close to the Suzuki. The engine is similar but not same. For example, the Hyosung doesn't have the oil cooler. Also, the oil filter in the Hyosung is in a different spot, which I'll show later. If you are gonna buy one, don't go for Hyosung, just get an SV650, pay a little bit more, but it's a much better quality bike. The Hyosung I have has only got 33,000 kilometers on auto, but feels like a lot older bike. Anyway guys, that's just my opinion, whatever I said. If you have anything to add, please feel free to write in the comment section.